Yeah, good evening and welcome along to the Transfer Show tonight. We are joined by the Brentford B coach, Sam Saunders, welcome along, and our very own Michael Bridge. The Premier League is, of course, back. There's plenty to discuss. And while some managers are boosted by new signings, others are left bidding farewell.
I hope he's doing well, so I wish him the best of luck.
I think we're in that moment where I'm not sure we have many friends in the market.
Part of the key for me is that they want to come to this football club. I'm not going to bend their arm or try and convince them.
We are all in conversation.
What does he have to do at Dortmund to get back into the first team at Manchester United?
I replied yes, I think it's enough.
It's just another story, you know. The end of the day, another player's an Everton player. So any decisions that we make on players will be us that decide.
We can't think to add one or two players in the squad.
We are going to do what is the best for the club.
It's more difficult to play for Man United and to perform for Man United as you can do for another club.
Interesting. Guys, only one place to start really. That is with Manchester United and manager Erik ten Hag's news conference earlier on today ahead of that Super Sunday game against Tottenham. Now, it was the first time that we'd heard from ten Hag since Jadon Sancho's loan move to Borussia Dortmund was, of course, confirmed. Unsurprisingly, he was asked a number of questions about Sancho's departure. Safe to say the questions were longer than the answers.
I hope he's doing well, so I wish him the best of luck.
Is that?
That's it. I hope he's doing well and it will be a success. So.
From Simon's question about Jadon Sancho, what does he have to do at Dortmund to get back into the first team at Manchester United?
I replied yes, I think it's enough.
He was expecting the question, Sam, but his responses, were they a reflection of just how badly that relationship has soured between himself and Jadon Sancho?
It sounds like a man that's fed up of asking the same questions over and over again, whether that be tweets, whether that be why is he not playing, whether it be form. I feel like Ten Hag's got to the point now where the loan move has happened. They've got, obviously, Jadon's he's still got another 2 years with an option on his Manchester United contract. So they know full well him going on loan, if he does well, is going to boost his transfer fee because the last year or so hasn't helped that. You can see that the relationship is definitely a bit sour. But 6 months loan, like you say, you go and refresh, is a long time in football. We don't know what's around the corner in football. It changes so quickly. So as an England fan, I really hope he goes out there and gets his form back and most of all starts enjoying his football again.
You say 6 months is a long time in football. It's been 4 months, well, over 4 months since he's actually played. And those 4 months must have felt like a really long time for Jadon Sancho. There was an interesting question there that was posed by the Sky Sports News reporter Anton Toloui there, Michael. He said he wouldn't get drawn on what Sancho would need to do at Dortmund to have a future at Manchester United. Is there a way back?
Under Erik ten Hag, as it stands, probably not. But at Manchester United, maybe. I mean, a few weeks ago, Gary Neville said himself, there's a bit of a 6-month trial coming up for Erik ten Hag himself. You know, we know Erik ten Hag has had the questions nearly week after week on Jadon Sancho. Now he's no longer his concern. OK, he wasn't part of his first team squad training. He's still probably around the canteen. You can still probably see him. Now he's in Germany. He's in Dortmund. He's no longer his concern for the next 5 or 6 months. Erik ten Hag's concern is putting Manchester United around the picture in the top 4, potentially winning a trophy. So he just wants to get on with it now and hopes, because we ask him nearly every week on Jadon Sancho, that might be the end of it.
I think that what he's looking at is that he was a bit of a distraction in the end because he wasn't playing and contributing on the pitch because obviously the fallout and Ten Hag with a sort of lack of form, it was actually a distraction. But now that is gone and he can just concentrate on his team. And like you said, there's a 6-month trial period now to the end of the season for Ten Hag to get his team firing. And obviously heading towards the European spots for the remainder of the season, he can fully concentrate on that because, like you can see there, he's more than fed up with the questions and he just wants to focus on the squad that are available to him that are going to be in there week in, week out for his team to the end of the season.
It's incredible how this situation transpired, though. It was just 2 days after the transfer window had closed. there was that row, a very public row, where Erik ten Hag, after the Arsenal game, had said, Sancho is not in the squad. That's because I've not seen enough of him in training. And then he responds to Sancho on social media saying, I'm a scapegoat in all of this. There are other reasons for this. Look, Sam, you were a player not too long ago. You're now on the other side of it. You're a coach at Brentford. How can a relationship between player and manager get so bad to the point of what seems like no return here?
Well, it seems to be a little bit of Ten Hag's management style. I think you remember when Rashford was late, he went on the bench, but then come off the bench and scored. And it worked that way. And Rashford, in a way, responded well to that criticism. Every player's different. So as a coach now, I'm looking at you can't coach the same way for every player. And maybe the way that he coached with Rashford wasn't quite working out for Sancho. And it's about players. What I've noticed now as a coach is you've got to make the players feel valued. You've got to make the players feel happy, confident. And I felt that Sancho was coming away from feeling that way and starting to fall out of love with the game. And when you have that, you've got a dangerous situation because you struggle to get the best out of players.
Do you know already then, with the players that you're coaching, which ones that you're going to put your arm around the shoulder and the other ones where actually you can be a little bit more harsh and direct with?
I think that you get a gauge, but players are human beings and coaches are human beings. We don't get everyone right. And I think the ones that you can sense that you're getting wrong, you can try and obviously U-turn it a little bit and try and soften it. But yeah, you do get a gauge, you get a feel, you get a gut feeling. But I say players are human beings, coaches are human beings. We're not going to get everyone right.
Michael, Sam mentioned before that the 6 months that Jadon Sancho has got at Borussia Dortmund. Now, in that news conference, he did wish him well. He did hope that he is a success. Written down, it looks nice. But we can see the body language when he said that. Now, however he said it, you've got to say that all parties will want that kind of sentiment to come to fruition, though, because this could benefit Sancho, Borussia Dortmund, rather, and Manchester United in the long run.
It will certainly benefit Manchester United because they know he's a good player. I don't think it's never been in question his ability, ever. It's about this fallout, which has gone on for way too long. And any issue at Manchester United seems to double because it's Manchester United at the end of the day. So I don't know how it would look if Jadon Sancho was brilliant in the Bundesliga, but then I go back to it again. It isn't necessarily about his ability, but then some Manchester United fans would argue they didn't maybe see enough of him. It was a very, very big price tag, wasn't it?
You hit the nail on the head about the ability because Sancho's record in goal involvements, whether it be a goal or assist, 1 in 4. And Anthony, the Ten Hag signing, is 1 in 6 goal involvements with a goal or assist per game. And Anthony gets half the criticism what Sancho gets. So you're bang on when you're saying it's not about the ability, it's the fact that they've actually had a personality clash and they fell out. And this is what's obviously resulted in him having to move out on loan.
Because Erik ten Hag, as Michael and yourself alluded to, that they will know the qualities of Jadon Sancho. This is not going to come down to playing ability, is it? It's not going to be a case of if he really does well at Borussia Dortmund, everyone's going to say, oh, look what Erik ten Hag's missed out on. He knows that side of it, doesn't he? This seems to be a position where they couldn't resolve it. I've been saying it throughout this window. There doesn't seem to be any sign of reconciliation there.
I know, but also when you're putting the coach's hat back on as well, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got criticised for probably not being firm enough and not putting his foot down. And so Ten Hag's gone in and he's made a couple of big calls. And at the time when we looked at them, and it was like, yeah, they're the right calls when you looked right at the start of his reign. So I feel a little bit because as a manager of Manchester United, you've got to make big calls. But the problem is when you're a manager of Man United, every call you make is criticised and scrutinised. And obviously this case, we spent the first 10 minutes of the show talking about this decision. And it's one that you look at and you go, is he going to come back and play under Ten Hag? I think the still personality clash will still be there. Even if he goes and scores 20 goals and gets 20 assists at the end of the season. Yes, it will help Manchester United get evaluation of the player. Yes, it will help Sancho be in a reckoning for the England squad in the summer. And yes, obviously it will help the club he's at now to go and obviously achieve what they need to achieve this season.
And this isn't just a fallout, is it? This is also about respect. I deserve more respect. Andy Cole and Teddy Sheringham didn't like each other personally, but they won trophies at Manchester United. You don't have to love your manager. You don't have to have your arm around him every time. but you have to respect him, don't you?
No, exactly that. But respect and relationships are both ways, and I'll put it that way as well. You have to respect your manager, but the manager does have to respect the player, and vice versa. And you don't have to like each other, but you've got to obviously understand that you're both wearing obviously your Manchester United crest. You're both working for the same club, and you've both got the same objectives, and that's to get Manchester United where they need to be back and where they've been underachieving of late.
Yeah, it's clear that both sides haven't really been fully open about what has happened between them, but if Jadon Sancho gets asked that question when he's at Borussia Dortmund, we will see if then that elicits a response from Erik ten Hag. So it was obviously a big theme in the news conference, Jadon Sancho, but another big theme was the recruitment under Erik ten Hag. And now under his management, United have spent close to £500 million on 10 permanent signings. Some, as Sam alluded to there, have received huge criticism. We're going to discuss those signings in just a moment. First, here's a staunch defence of those signings from Erik ten Hag.
Playing for Man United is so much different than playing for any other club. It's so much more difficult to play for Man United and to perform for Man United as you can do for another club. So you need very strong character to perform, to deal with high expectations.
If you look, say, at City, who have spent similar amounts on, I think they've signed, looking here, 15 players for more than 50 million. Grealish, Guardiola, De Bruyne, Diaz, Rodri, Laporte, Cancelo, Haaland, Doku, Mendy, Stones, Kyle Walker. But a lot of those players have really delivered for the money. I mean, there's a huge contrast in the success of City's big money signings and United's big money signings. Is it an identification issue that you may be targeting the wrong players?
So I know that everything is very highlighted in the moment. The performers are not there. But don't forget, last season, everyone was telling, hey, the signings for Manchester United were very good. Because as a team we performed. Everyone was telling how great Licha Martinez was doing. How everyone was telling me, Christian Eriksen is a top signing. Malacia, very smart. Then we had Anthony, was doing okay. So I want to say, Casemiro, brilliant. Everyone was telling last season, and so it's really what we judge them in the moment, and I think all the signings are top players.
So Erik ten Hag defending the signings he's made at Manchester United. As you can see, 10 permanent signings at a cost of £410.9 million. Sam, is he right to defend those signings?
It's right to defend the signings, of course, because of obviously the players that are at Manchester United. And see, if you say we spoke about with Sancho, if you do criticise, then you could open up a can of worms with these kind of players. And you look at some of the ones like Martial, who's been injured. So there's a lot of injuries there. Martinez, he was actually showing some really good form before he picked up some injuries. But it's just the fact that when you spend this amount of money, obviously £410 million is an extortionate amount of money. People want results, and they want results immediately. And the frustration thing is what I'm speaking to Manchester United fans is they're spending money on players that, say, we look in here and we look at Anthony, we look at, obviously, Casemiro. Arguably the two best players of late for Manchester United have been the two youngsters that have come up, Manu in the middle of the park, and you've got Garnacho on the wing who have come up through the academy. So this is what the Manchester United fans are finding frustrated, that they're spending an extortionate amount of money and the actual young players are actually outperforming at the moment.
You could say maybe the ones with free on it have been their most successful ones. Christian Eriksen was absolutely fantastic in his first season, wasn't he? And he's a brilliant success story in himself, isn't he?
Yeah.
You know yourself, Sam, him going to Brentford. And he deserved that move to Manchester United. I know Brentford wanted to keep him, but Thomas Frank wished him well. Brentford fans eventually wished... I know they were disappointed, but he did fantastic, didn't he, in his first season?
Outstanding.
He's had a few injuries. Now, Johnny Evans came in as more of someone to look after the academy. I was there watching the under-23s when they played Wrexham in San Diego. However, he's playing a lot. With the injuries, he's been playing a lot in the first, but you can always rely on Johnny Evans. I think the concerns there really Mason Mount, you'd probably say the jury's still out at the moment. It does look expensive. It looks weighty. But we'll have to maybe wait and see when he's back from injury. I think Anthony as well was interesting today when Erik ten Hag mentioned about the personal off-field issues he has. He said, we've helped him. We've done as much as we can. However, he needs to do more. I think everyone and all Manchester United fans can agree on that. And the Casemiro one for me, you look at those four, I remember looking at them as lifting the Carabao Cup last season. But maybe Casemiro's not hit the heights in the second half of the season. The good news for United is he is back from injury. If he plays Sunday, we don't know. But a big few months for him.
Changes are afoot, though, at Manchester United. Ineos have come in, minority 25% investment. But with that, the Glazers have said they are going to take over all of the football operations, which in itself can be viewed as an admission of failure because they haven't got it right up until now, so they're handing it over to someone else. Included in that, I'm guessing, would be a director or directors of football. Now, you're at a club where there is a director of football. Are you surprised that a club of the stature and the size of Manchester United don't actually have someone in that role?
The question that Ten Hag got answered earlier there was about the identity. And I think that having someone in that role would help develop the club's identity of where they want to go, what they want to look like, and in that aspect, what kind of players are we trying to sign to make us look like that? If you look at the likes of Man City, clear identity, Arsenal, clear identity, Spurs, clear identity of how they want to play football, and they can sign players on the way that they want to do that. But if you look at here, it's a bit all over the place, really, of what type of player and what type of identity are you looking to do. And I think that having someone at the head of football operations will really help that. Whatever manager's in place, whatever player's in place, as long as you've got an identity and a real skeleton of a structure of what your football club looks like, then it can move along. It's not going to happen in one transfer window. You're going to take 2, 3, 4 transfer windows to move players on that are not going to fit that identity and players that you want in to obviously help with that. So it's not going to be a quick fix. You're not going to get it overnight. Let's say the likes of Chelsea have struggled to find that as well. And let's say you need that at the head because when players move or when managers move, the clubs still know where they're going and the direction they're going.
Yeah, and Sir Jim Ratcliffe, he could be at that game at Old Trafford against Tottenham Hotspur, and what a game in store on Super Sunday. Manchester United against Tottenham Hotspur, 4 p.m, Sky Sports Premier League and Sky Sports main event. Coming up next, we'll be discussing Ivan Toney, someone Sam knows very, very well, and Chelsea. And a reminder, Bayern Munich are in action tonight and they're paying tribute to Franz Beckenbauer, a man who became synonymous with Bayern after a career as a player, manager, and then the president. Yeah, welcome back to the Transfer Show. Brentford B coach Sam Saunders is with us tonight. The perfect guest, I think you'd agree, for our next chat. We're going to be talking about Ivan Toney ahead of his return after an 8-month ban for breaching betting rules. Now, Toney played for Sam last weekend. We'll get your insight into that in a moment. But let's just hear a little bit from our exclusive interview Toney did with Sky Sports News earlier this week.
Just kind of like, can't wait to get back and do what everybody's not expecting you to do. I know there's a lot of people thinking, can he do this, can he do that, how's he going to be when he gets back? But only time will tell, and I know I'm capable of, so I guess when I get on the pitch, I just got to do what I do best. Thomas Frank, he's been nothing but the biggest help I could have asked for. The whole club has, from putting extra sessions on for me, from taking their time out to put a session on, go outside when it's raining, when they're not even supposed to be in, these kind of things. So it's kind of like, I have a lot to be paying, and I can't wait to try and do that.
You're in the tunnel ahead of your first game back. What are you telling yourself?
You have to score. That's what I'm telling myself. You got things to do. You got to catch up on some things, and that's to score goals.
Will you have targets?
I have targets, but I always keep them to myself.
Sam, while we were listening to that, I heard you point to the screen as though that's his mindset. The impression we're getting is he wants to repay Brentford. You're working closely with him just now. Is that the feeling you're getting as well?
Yeah. Firstly, I can't believe you brought me on and we're talking about Ivan Toney. I can't believe that's what we're talking about. He has been... You can see that someone that's just can't wait to get back. He's missed it. He'll put up an exterior where it won't bother him, but obviously any player, and someone like Ivan who loves football that much, of course it's going to bother you, and he can't wait to get back. The way he's trained, the way he's come in and played obviously with the B team at times, the way that he's led it and the way he's been an example to the B team boys as well, as a professional, has been exemplary. He's a leader on the pitch, a leader off the pitch, a real aura. Yes, Brentford are going to obviously, it's going to be a massive boost by his abilities as a football player coming back, but just his whole personality and the way that he carries himself and the way that other players will look at him and see that he's on the pitch and give that confidence that you've got a player of Ivan's calibre alongside you. So yeah, in a long way about answering your question, it's absolutely massive. And his mindset, he did a Q&A with the boys. Obviously he's had lots of time to reflect and obviously do bits and different things that he would do if he was just focusing on game to game. He'd done a Q&A with the B team, and his mindset was something that just really struck me, of how he walks on the pitch and his job is to score goals. And if he doesn't score goals, he says he doesn't feel like he's helped the team and helped the club. And that is one thing that Ivan is, you can see now he's obsessed to get back and repay what the club have stood by, and not that they ever was going to do anything differently, but the way that obviously everyone at the club feels and loves Ivan and the contribution that he's made for the club, no one will ever forget that, and he wants to come back now and finish the season strongly.
And he's in good condition, we're hearing, he's really working hard, and amongst the goals already.
Yeah, it's amazing. He's like a magnet in the box, and when he gets half a chance, it's just in the back of the net before you know it. You see this one here, just in the right place, finish. This one is, he won't admit it, but it was off his shoulder. But this next one here is this header coming up. I think you just showed the third one coming in. It just shows his abilities, getting up, getting across people, desire to score goals, the height he gets up there. He is a goal threat, and he can score any type of goal.
You touched on it before there, Sam, just what he's been like with the players. You said he did the Q&A. Can you give us a bit more of an insight of what he's actually done and what the players' reaction has been to him and to you?
Well, the players' reaction are in awe, because in their eyes, and he's a superstar. He's in England international. He's a Premier League goal scorer. And so when Ivan speaks, they listen. And for us as a coach, you just want to get them in front of players like Ivan as much as possible, because they can learn so much. His mindset was the one that struck me, though, is how he's so determined, so self-assured, confident, not cocky, but confident in his abilities. And he really believes he's going out and score a goal. And if you've got that mindset of you really believe in something, 9 times out of 10 you'll get there. So the boys really bought into that. We had training sessions, and he's helped he would take a training session and finish him with the boys and stuff like that. And for me, I just step back and just go ahead because they'd rather get a finishing session off of Ivan than me, that's for sure.
It gets more rare as we go on that a proper out-and-out striker these days. You can clearly understand and see why so many clubs will be considering, can't you?
Be careful what you say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Thomas and Phil and Lee Dykes on my case. But he offers goals, of course he does. Like I just mentioned earlier, he can score headers, volleys, left foot, right foot, penalties, free kicks. He's got it all. So he's got the goals, which is obviously we've spoke about other clubs that are not scoring as many goals or teams that are looking for strikers. So of course, a player of Ivan's calibre is going to be someone that people are going to look at. But like I say, for me, he's more than a goal scorer. His hold-up play, his leadership skills, and his just all-round character is what makes Ivan the player that he is.
Well, we're going to come back in just a moment because Bayern Munich are making their return to action after the midwinter break. They're at home against Hoffenheim, and it's the first opportunity for the club and the fans to pay tribute to the legend, the icon, the man, Franz Beckenbauer. I think we can see these shots now live from the Allianz Arena. Der Kaiser passed away last week at the age of 78. What an absolute legend he was for Bayern Munich as a player. 4 league titles, a couple of league titles, a league title as a manager as well. One of 3 people to win the World Cup as a player and a manager. Let's just have a look at some of these scenes now out there in Munich. Yeah, those are scenes at the Allianz Arena. Bayern Munich against Hoffenheim. The Bayern Munich fans, players and the club paying tribute to Franz Beckenbauer. Just one more question on Ivan Toney, Sam, and I'm going to put you on the spot, but you will have heard of all of the rumours. And from what you've seen and when you speak to Ivan, are you confident that come the end of this window, he will still be a Brentford player?
Yeah, I am. Just the way that his interview, they say he wants to repay the club, repay Thomas and the coaching staff. The way he's been about his business in day-to-day training and how he's looked to not just get fit for his own self, it's the way he's looked to help others, the way he's really, you can see that he's got a bounce about him and he just can't wait to get involved in that game against Forest in 10 days' time.
OK. You're saying his thing. Forgive us all, you know, you're from a Brentford perspective, of course, but I'm sure we're going to be talking about him in the next 2 or 3 weeks or so. Let's just focus on Chelsea for the moment, a club that's dominated the last couple of transfer windows. Different story this month. Mauricio Pochettino has confirmed, though, that he's hoping to add to his squad this month.
We are all in conversation. I think that the relationship is good, and I think we are going to do what is the best for the club, and caring for the club and caring for of course, and to try to perform and to win games. I think our objective is to look after the squad, to be involved with the player and with all the staff, because sometimes we talk about that it's a new team, no, but it's a new also different areas of the club, new performance area, new medical, new, different. Areas of the club are new also. We need to coordinate and to create this way to work and to perform, and this is important too.
Yeah, it could be difficult for Chelsea to go into the market this month. Maybe the loan market they could look at. I don't think it's going to be the same as last January when they spent over £300 million. But a striker seems to be the obvious priority for Chelsea. We've been talking about a particular striker at Brentford, but how much difference do you think a senior striker could make to Chelsea in their season?
Obviously, Chelsea have made a lot of signings, everyone knows that. A lot of young players that are taking time to bed in. Jackson's come under, obviously, a lot of scrutiny. I think it's 7 goals in the Premier League, 8 all in all competitions. You just looked at the game the other night against Middlesbrough. Palmer missing 3 chances. Palmer's been outstanding for Chelsea this season, but to have him being your joint top goal scorer at this stage of the season doesn't bode well for the attacking players at the club. Jackson's a good player in the fact that he works hard, wants to stretch the pitch, works the last line, but a centre forward for Chelsea, I think I see something the other day that every 16 shots he scores, that's a lot of chances you need to create to score goals. So yes, we just spoke about Ivan being so clinical. At the other hand, with Chelsea, they look like they're lacking that little clinical edge at the moment.
I feel everything seems up in the air with Chelsea, not just maybe the striker, but the goalkeeper. Talk about what they spent. There's no firm number 1 there. Even the guy with the captain's armband, Conor Gallagher, who the fans seem to love, but then linked with a move away. So someone you've obviously watched so much as well, Sam, Conor Gallagher. I mean, it seemed a bit of a surprise, Pochettino giving him the armband, but how do you feel his season's been going?
I think he's probably been one of Chelsea's best players this season, when you look at the consistency level. So the fact that Chelsea may be having to sell him shows that obviously the FFP is obviously they spent so much money, they might need to balance the books elsewhere, and Conor Gallagher being a homegrown player is obviously going to be pure profit. Chelsea's another one, like we just spoke about Manchester United. They've really struggled to find what's the identity at the moment, where they're looking, what kind of players they're looking for, and after that, let's sign a kind of... It feels like it was a bit of a shooting from the hip, just signing all the best young talent available and then trying to fit them into a formation, and it's quite difficult to do. So they found that quite... Because you look at like Modric, Mandzukic, Palmer, Brozier's coming back. I do really like Brozier. I think he's been unfortunate with injuries, and I think he's got some talent, and I think that he might, if Chelsea don't get a striker, I think he'll be leading the line more often than not come the end of the season. So this is when you need the players like Sterling, who is the experience in that attacking line, to really step up. He started the season really brightly, but then just had a little bit of a tail off of late. But it is difficult when you buy so many young players at the same time, and a lot of them in the same positions. It seems like they had so many wingers at one stage. Every time you picked up the paper or looks at your phone, there was a new winger coming through the door. So I think definitely for me, they need to try and, whether they loan someone in or with some of these young players, help give them some confidence or whatever it might be. Jackson looks to me like he's a very instinctive striker. He doesn't look like he's a striker that in front of goal, whenever a lot of time, he's going to be cool and composed. He looks like he actually needs one that comes in quickly, puts in a corner and gains confidence from there. But apart from that, you're looking and you're going, Brozier's probably the next in line to come in and try and make a stake for that number 9 shirt.
A couple of departures very quickly to tell you about at Chelsea. Ian Maatsen, the left-back, has gone on loan until the end of the season to Borussia Dortmund. He actually signed an extension to his Chelsea contract until 2026. So maybe Chelsea will look to Maatsen to maybe have a good final 6 months, because he's not getting first-team football at Chelsea, maybe maintain and even strengthen his market value when he comes back. And David Datro Fofana, they've cut his loan short from Union Berlin, and he's on the verge of joining Burnley. He flew into the UK today. We're expecting him to have a medical tomorrow ahead of finalising that move to Turf Moor. And Burnley in action tonight in a big game against Luton Town, which Sam will be keeping an eye on. Now, plenty more still to come on the Transfer Show. We'll talk about 2 clubs who are having very different windows, Tottenham and Newcastle. And we'll ask Sam about the Beckhams at Brentford. 7:45 kickoff at Turf Moor. Big game as well. Burnley against Luton, down at the bottom of the Premier League. Burnley make 3 changes from their last league game. Taylor, Berg and Bayer all make way as Ekdal, Cullen and El Dakil all come in. Benson makes the bench. As for Luton, Rob Edwards makes 3 changes to the side that drew 0-0 with Bolton in the FA Cup. Jordan Clark earns his first Premier League start. Kaminski returns in goal and Andros Townsend is back into the starting 11 after coming on as a sub in that FA Cup tie. Yeah, Sam Saunders will be watching that one, but for now it's back to the transfers. Big week, of course, at Tottenham Hotspur. Timo Werner joined on loan before Radu Dragozin completed his move from Genoa. We'll hear from Ange Postecoglou in a moment, but first, here's Tottenham's new centre-back.
I just feel excited. I feel very, very happy. It's a big step for me, but I feel that it's the right step. I can say the decision was inside of my heart. I had a couple of talks with the coach. I felt really good connection with him since we've talked. He told me that he really wants me to join them. He likes my way of playing, and he thought that and he's thinking that I'm a good fit for this team. I can say that I'm a guy that gives everything for this team. It's a dream to can play football, especially for this kind of team. I can assure them that I will leave my 100% always on the pitch.
In my mind, once we got down to the real detail of it, I thought he was the best option for us. So, before the window opened, we kind of made a decision that Rada was going to be our number 1 priority. And I like his defensive attributes. I like his physical attributes. I think there's still a lot of growth in him. There's a lot of improvement in him. He's only 21. He's had 1 year in the Serie A, not even a full year. And I think he fits kind of the profile of the kind of players we want here. Don't try and sell anything. Like I said, it's just a conversation. And, we, like with all, with Timo and every player I've signed, it's just a conversation about sort of what I believe and sort of my thoughts on them as players and where I see them fitting in and sort of trying to create a sort of picture in their head about, what they'll encounter when they get here and what we're trying to build, and the rest is up to them. It's not. I think, part of the key for me is that they want to come to this football club. I'm not going to bend their arm or try and convince them.
Yes, Sam and Michael hanging on every word from Ange Postecoglou there, especially you. Sam, how impressed have you been, though, generally with Tottenham's start to this transfer window? Because they usually leave it late, not this time.
Well, I was just about to say that it's normally rolling down the windows, 5 minutes till 12 o'clock, right, who's coming through the door. But it shows the intent. Obviously, the club are completely behind Ange and the way he's going about it. He's got a clear identity. Again, I spoke about that a lot today, and the players look like they fit the system and how he wants his teams to play. Timo Werner, I think, is a really good signing. I think the fact that he can play anywhere across the front three, high energy, good presser, obviously both of them top attitudes and characters from the references that we've received. I think they're both really good additions to the club, and I say so early in the window as well. Everyone knows the injury record that Spurs have got. They need players in sooner rather than later, and if you leave it to the end of the window, there could be 2 or 3 games past, which could be 9 points. So it's important to get these players in the door and get them in early. And I say they look 2 really good additions to the squad.
Michael, we spoke about this earlier in the week, but this transfer window has started like a dream for Tottenham, but it might not have done. Could have worked out differently, couldn't it?
Well, I mean, look, they might have a quiet deadline day, but that might be a good thing. That people love a deadline day signing, but to get these 2 in straight away, Werner being the bonus, Ange Postecoglou said to me and colleagues that, yes, they do need a central defender, and they've signed the one they wanted. It's the one Ange Postecoglou wanted. There were worries, obviously, a couple of nights ago when our colleagues in Germany said Bayern Munich are really in for him, but he kept to his word, and we heard he was offered better terms at Bayern Munich. but he ended up getting the plane to London, and then the player who Spurs have had up for sale since the summer, Eric Dyer, going to Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
And Jed Spence was sent back from Leeds last Friday. Where's he gone? Genoa. It's an unbelievable couple of days for Spurs, and, you know, they have been criticised over years over their recruitment or lack of recruitment. But it's been a really, really
but
good...
that says a lot for Dragoson's character and the fact that he spoke with Spurs, and yes, he could have got better terms. And I say Harry Kane went to Munich, and what a big club they are, but he's chose Spurs, and he believes that the Premier League suits his game. And I say, with the footage that I've seen and the stats that we've seen over the last few days, he could be a really good addition, and it's going to be a real hot competition now for those two central defence places when everyone's fit.
And what I'd say very, very, very quickly, what people always said to Postecoglou, are you going to change the way you play? Are you going to change the way you play? It's like, no. How many times do I have to say it? No. But with that, centre-halves have come in, Ben Davies, Emerson Royal. Davies, in particular, playing really well. But what they're now going to have is Werner playing the way Postecoglou likes, while Son's absent, and Dragusin coming in the way Postecoglou likes to play and the way he likes him to play.
So some players are getting their moves. One player with a big decision to make this month is Calvin Phillips, of course. The midfielder is willing to move to reignite his career, but Pep Guardiola told us today Manchester City have yet to receive any offers for Calvin Phillips.
Still, obviously, plenty of speculation about Calvin Phillips and where his future might lie. Has there been any movement? Have you had any inquiries on his future?
No. He's still player of us. Our player.
Quick one, Sam. He's got to move, hasn't he, this month?
You would think he has to move, but the fact that Gareth Southgate keeps playing him and keeps picking him, maybe if it's not the right move or if he doesn't think that it's going to benefit him, then maybe not. It's a player of his calibre and his quality, he should be playing more often than he is, without doubt. So the fact that Gareth Southgate's still picking him and still playing him, maybe he hasn't got to, but I think that if he wants to be playing at the best of his top of his game, you've got to be playing week in, week out.
Yeah, and one team he has been linked with, of course, is Newcastle United, and we'll be talking Newcastle United right after the break. Stay with us. Yeah, welcome back to the Transfer Show. We told you yesterday Bournemouth hadn't received any offers for Dominic Solanke. Today, Newcastle boss Eddie Howe admitted he's a huge fan of the Bournemouth striker, but Newcastle can't afford him.
Yeah, it's a frustrating story for me because, yes, I love Dominic Solanke. I signed him and rate him very highly. But we have not made an inquiry for him, and we don't have the ability to sign a player of that level. We're not shutting the door on everything, but certainly as I sit here now, no, we're not going to bring anybody in, but that may change as the window unfolds. But I think there's a lot of value in the loan market. Whether it's value that we can utilise is something totally different. I'm not sure there's many clubs out there that are willing to help us currently. And to agree a loan deal, you need the club to agree to that deal. So I think we're in that moment where I'm not sure we have many friends in the market.
Yeah, I think Brentford have just been on the phone telling Sam to stop talking about Ivan Toney. So let's talk about Dominic Solanke. Are you a big fan of his?
I am. I think he's top. I've liked him since he was at Chelsea. Big, powerful number 9, can lead the line on his own, can hold the ball up, running behind, and he seems to have got a real confidence in front of the goal this season. I think him and Ivan are two that are going to be pushing for that third number 9 role in the England squad come summer.
Sam, while we have you here, just tell us a bit about your role with the Brentford B squad. It's very different, the approach, isn't it, that Brentford have taken, as opposed to playing the under-23s. It's a Brentford first team and a Brentford B team. Yeah,
obviously, we found that maybe 5-6 years ago we was losing players to bigger clubs that was coming through the academy, and they come 15, 16 years old, they'd go to another club for a really, really small fee. So the club come together. Robert Rowan was a big influence into changing it to a B team. And it was just to get players that were more ready, maybe at a slightly older age, maybe 18, 19, that with a bit of tweaking and a bit of training in the B team scenario, where we'd be playing probably 60, 70% of our fixtures against men teams rather than academies, getting them used to physical football, more streetwise football, first and second dual set pieces, those aspects. And we felt that was a model that would work well for us. We tour a lot, we go away, we play a lot of teams, particularly at this time of year on their winter breaks. So we've got a few fixtures coming up, and we just find this makes our players, it's not going to work for everyone, but for our club it works really well for us. You talk about some of the ages of your players. I'm going to talk to you about a 21-year-old called Romeo Beckham. There we go, I knew this one. How's he done, and what kind of influence has the family had on him and on Brentford? He's done terrific. Firstly, as everyone asks, as I say, you can imagine it's a popular question because of his family. He's a great lad, so polite, so hard-working, so well-mannered, comes in every day, trains so hard. The boys love him, and he's come in and made an influence on the group. Sam, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. You're going to have to do a bit of overtime now because I know you're watching the Burnley against Luton game. Big game in that one. Around 8.5 minutes gone at Turf Moor. It remains Burnley 0, Luton 0. Big save there. It is a big game, this one, we know. So we'll let you prepare for that. Great note-making as well. Michael Bridge, thank you very much indeed. So that was the Transfer Show. Friday evening. Lots happening. Day 12 of the January transfer window. Just starting to bubble up, isn't it? More on Sky Sports News next, including we hear from Sven-Göran Eriksson. Stay with us.